What's up, everybody? It's your boy JD, and we have episode 4 of Through the Ropes podcast. And today we're doing something a little different. So, we don't want to talk about anything current. Today, we want to reminisce. We want to do something a little different and bring a top 5 list. And our top 5 list for today is going to be our top 5 tag teams. This should be a very interesting conversation. Right next to me, I have my guy Inhuman. Inhuman, excuse me. Right underneath me, I have RJ. And diagonal from me, I have our guy, Dirty Dan. Welcome, everybody. I hope you gentlemen have had a great night. God, I can't talk right now. Hope you gentlemen had a great night. On to our top 10 tag teams, however. Our top 5 tag teams. I want to start off with one. I'm going to go a little different here. I'm going to switch it up. I had to put this list together because our guy, Michi Black, was having technical difficulties. So, excuse me while I come up on the fly. I already have my top 4, and I was trying to think of one that I came across on the internet that I forgot about that I loved as a child. New Age Outlaws. Shout out to Billy Gunn. Shout out to Road Dogg. Always as a kid, I always loved Road Dogg and his crazy ass just coming out, always doing something crazy, and just seeing them kind of detach from like the whole DX thing and still kind of run it. It was still the black and the green, and it was still kind of like the DX thing. But to see them kind of branch off and be able to do their own thing and still be able to have fun with it and still be them, while creating their own brand and separating off, I always thought it was impressive. It was always fun as a 90s baby. So I wanted to give a shout out to them at my number 5 spot. And Human, go ahead and give me your number 5.
Number 5 spot is 2 amazing wrestlers, which, maybe we might get a retirement from one of them. I don't know. But Edge and Christian. I just feel like growing up, just seeing both of them together, whether either tag team or just separate, it was just always an amazing sight. Further on the list, you'll see I kind of feel like they were like the older brothers to my number 1 people and everything in a strange way. But yeah, no, Edge and Christian was always there for me. They was a great tag team. Loved their matches.
And what's always interesting about them is that, again, they're also very different in the way that they also split apart and were very successful as well. And you kind of see that now even at AEW. So I think it's cool you even mentioned them because they're actually still doing their thing, even at the age that they are and in the years that they have into the game, they're actually doing something a lot different with AEW. So shout out to them. It's a very good number 5 pick. And RJ, your number 5 pick, sir.
Wow. But
yeah, I know, bro. I'm all over the place.
Number 5. My list is very much so newer-ish. Long time in the game, but not too many of the older 90s guys. I got the Young Bucks. I really enjoy what the Young Bucks bring to the table. They're basically
There
just
you
your high flying things. Does a super kick thing get annoying? Of course it does, but they're so in their own. They've got their heads up their own asses so far. It's so nice though because they know what they're doing. They know how to take the criticisms and use it against kind of the unfair criticisms and use it against them. Like you super kick too much. What do? They super kick more. They put little firecrackers on their shoes. But something that the Young Bucks just do is just really solid tag team wrestling. And whenever it comes to just big pay-per-view matches, recently at Dynasty they had the ladder match with FTR, phenomenal. They had their own wars with the FTR in general. I think they're on match 6. I think 6. They have my favorite match of theirs would be the tag team steel cage match they had with the Lucha Bros in 2021. I think probably one of the best tag team matches I ever watched. It was just a phenomenal set, and they always have they're always there for that reliable use. They're always gonna have a good match. They're always gonna be super safe to work with, and that's why even Sting picked them for his last opponents because they're just good at what they do, and they knew they're gonna put out a phenomenal match, and they did. So
100%.
For every negative I have is like superficial stuff. Like I'm not a big fan of like the streamer gear or like the zebra print stuff. But other than that, I love the Young Bucks. I love what they do, and I'm never gonna watch a Young Bucks match and expect it to be bad.
I like that. So I actually like that pick because I like that you mentioned how good they are as a tag team. I think often like we could overlook that. It's always like kind of like the high flyers and the excitement and the finishers. Like sometimes you could overlook the symmetry between two people, and that's kind of what you highlighted. Yeah. I like that a lot. Dirty Dan, your number 5 pick. Talk to me.
The Legion of Doom.
Perfect.
That's gonna be my number 5. I don't know. When I was a kid, I mean, yeah, I'm older here. So when I was younger,
right. Yeah.
Seeing two big ass dudes just beat the crap out of everybody with the shoulder pads and the
I would
spikes,
say that spikes, yeah.
and then my man going, "Ooh, what a rush, man, bro!" Like, yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah.
Nah,
And
legendary
if
ass saying.
my man, you just put him over your shoulders, clothesline him. It's over. That's it. They go in there and beat the living crap out of people.
No, it's
Get
amazing.
out.
Yeah, that's amazing. And the thing about them is that they're legendary because of those things that you mentioned. You know what I'm saying? Like they found a way to stick out in an era where it was kind of hard to. You know, it was just
The thing is, it was so
they're
popular,
creative,
but when they went into the back then WWF,
right?
they weren't as popular
Yeah, sure, you're right. Yeah.
as they were
They
at
had
other
nosedive.
promotions. Yeah,
Mhm.
they started diving when they got WWF, but I don't know. I liked them.
I mean, but again, that's how good that they were is that they still kind of live on. People still talk about them. They're still on top of the list, and still mostly you will hear them on most people's top 5 lists. Let me put it that way. So people who talk about wrestling, they would talk about them all the time. So yeah, that's a great pick. So on to number 4. My number 4, I'm going with the Outsiders. So shout out to Steve Nash. Oh my God, I'm still in my basketball head. Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Rest in peace, man. You know, I actually got Scott Hall's Funko Pop and Razor Ramon. I'm thinking about selling it, but man, shout out to Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, you know, all those different characters that he was at one time. You know, he was just him. You know, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon, they feel like the same person. You know, and of course, again, Kevin Nash. You know, just watching, like Danny said, just watching big dudes just be able to kick people in the face and do all this damage. And Kevin Nash always looked like a badass. You know, they just came in with the black and the hat on and everything. Like you felt like this was almost like Compton, like LA. Like that's what it felt like. NWA with the black on, but just for wrestling. That's what it felt like. You know, just different. And the name Outsiders, it just stuck so well. So shout out to those two. I love that tag team. NWO. That's kind of what it transferred into after a while. But you know, those WCW days, and then they wound up transferring to WWF at that time. Like they were just on fire. Just those two, and then turn into the trio. I mean, that was a beautiful thing to watch. So Outsiders is my number 4. How about your number 4, Inhuman?
This is gonna go back to another one of me just being a kid and just enjoying watching fucking wrestling so much. Team 3D, man, the Dudley Boys, man. Like, it's
Like I have a feeling me and Human gonna have the same list, bro.
yeah.
Orders, but
Because
we got the same list.
yeah, because it's like when I was younger, like my mom would not let me watch wrestling at all. So it was really me sneaking to watch it, and it's like I had to enjoy every second I could watch before my mom being like, "Boy, what you doing on that TV?" And it was like, yo, like watching them. It till this day when they show shit, when any little thing, it was just excitement and fun as a kid. I did way too much dumb shit, and you're gonna notice, especially for my later picks and stuff, I did a lot of dumb shit that these people did,
Of
and it's
course.
because certain things that just made it so fun. You're going, oh man, it's hard to even just say like the things that they did, the things that has lasted to this day.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I ain't even need to say the Dudley Boys. You just say Team 3D, and it's like, hey, we
Everybody
got you
knows.
today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, what we digging under the ring for today? Like you already know some shit's happening and shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, again, it's just excitement from a kid that you get, and I don't think that there'll ever be a day in which I'm never going to just think about their matches and just taking me back to a kid.
No, it's a
Like
fact.
it's always going to be that for me. Anytime I see them, I'm gonna have that childhood excitement. If I see anything, whether it be I hear their name or I see, like, yeah, it's always going to be that for me,
Well, the
man. So
beautiful
yeah,
thing about them is that they have an everlasting legacy with a weapon.
yeah.
If you pull out a table, it's all, oh my God, like everybody's like just going crazy. Like it's kids today that know about that scream it because
Yep.
it's like you gotta know that. So you know, I feel like they're entrenched into WWE, WWF, just wrestling history, just based off even just a
ECW, yep.
table. You know, ECW facts.
Yeah.
You know, just wrestling history because Obviously they did great promos and they were a great tag team, but again, just based off a table, like you just think about them instantly, and that's something that's beautiful, that an inanimate object can remind you of somebody or something. That's very special. That tells you how special that they are. So yeah.
Especially 'cause my best friend growing up too, he was a light skinned Rican and I was me. I was like, oh shit,
Oh
we the
yeah,
Dudley
yeah,
Boys. Like, let's get it.
yeah. That's a
All
fact.
shit correlates right there, man.
That's a fact. All right, RJ, on to you, bro. Who's your number 4?
Number 4, I actually have FTR. I brought them up earlier. They had some phenomenal matches with the Young Bucks, but even past that, I think what FTR brings to the table is just basically the same reason anybody would like a Bret Hart or an Owen Hart. They are just phenomenal technical wrestlers. Not only two come together very well. Something about tag team wrestling and having two, maybe not unique styles, but two very similar people just almost feel like they're one brain and being one combined team is some of my favorite tag team wrestling ever. Because that's what I love about tag team wrestling is watching basically 4 people basically just be one mind and move and do their thing that they have to do. But other than like the things that they done with the Young Bucks, they are actually they're half of one of probably like my top 2 favorite matches I've ever watched, which is FTR versus Bullet Club Gold in a best 2 out of 3 falls match. And it was on a random episode of Collision. They aired this for free. And it is 58 minutes of the
Oh,
best tag team wrestling I've ever watched. And when you watch it, it doesn't feel like 58 minutes. It feels like just high octane action. It is 2 technical guys versus 2 not non-technicals, but more flashier, like screaming out loud type guys. And it is just my favorite match to watch. I rewatched it for this list to kind of like solidify it on this list. And the only reason why I put them on there is because I think they were the better team for it over Bullet Club Gold, because Bullet Club Gold does like more faction-y stuff rather than just tag team. So I mean, they've done that. They had a belt collector run where they had like the AAA tag titles, the ROH tag titles, the AEW tag titles, all at once. Like, so for multiple companies to look at you and go, "We want you to hold our titles," is
that's
one
true.
thing. But all at once,
One
saying,
time.
like, just show off what you can do, just really shows how phenomenal of a tag team they are. My only gripe with them is like Bret Hart, like an Owen Hart, not the greatest on the mic. Not that they're necessarily bad, but it's very old school 80s, like really good wrestling, but they kind of just say the same things over and over again. I'm doing this for my family. I love this. I love professional wrestling. It's like, that's great. And I love that. But sometimes you got to mix it up.
You want to
But I
sprinkle it.
understand why they won, because they're just that good of a tag team that you kind of don't need to, because they're going to put on a good match, whether it's on a Wednesday, whether it's on a pay-per-view. They're a very reliable team.
Right, Dirty
Do
Dan?
you think? Because they used to be in WWE, and I like them in WWE. Do you think they'd be better off with like someone like a Paul Heyman that just talks for them, and he just go in and kick everybody's ass?
No, because I think they're right where they need to be.
Okay,
Because
I was wondering. I was asking.
is so wrestling focused, they could just be good tag team wrestlers. Because I mean, there's a quote that I think Dax said on his podcast where he said, "If I did go back to WWE, I would rather lose to the champions every week than hold them."
Hmm.
And to be fair, when you look at WWE, even now, like it's getting a little better. Now they don't have child toy tag team titles. Maybe things will start
Yeah.
getting better once
Right.
real tag teams actually hold them. But I mean, I felt it because I love tag team wrestling.
Yep.
WWE doesn't really have great tag team wrestling. They have good tag team wrestling, not too good tag team wrestling. Like what they have for tag teams is like more sports entertainment than wrestling. So I mean,
That's fair. That's fair.
I
Yeah.
think it just sticks very well. I think FTR is fine where they are. I don't think they need a mouthpiece because again, they're not bad. It's just that they say the same things kind of a lot. So
Makes sense. Definitely understandable. Perfect. I think, and to be honest, I don't think I can add anything better. I mean, you mentioned the technical wrestling. You kind of touched on every single point. That was wonderfully said. Dirty Dan, on to your number 4 pick, sir.
My number 4, I wasn't even a big fan of them, but it's Inhumans 5, Edge and Christian.
I love that. Yeah.
hey,
I actually liked them better as singles competitors. That's when I started liking them.
Yes,
I
I
don't
agree.
know.
Me too.
I mean,
can agree with that.
they were goofy and funny, but they were like too goofball for me back then.
Okay. Okay.
That's a little fair.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
Yeah,
super
they
fair.
were very goofballish, and then once they went on to singles competitors, but I mean, they have one of the greatest matches of all time, the ladder match. You can't deny.
They can't deny that, bro.
You
I
can't
mean,
deny it, bro.
yeah, that I was We posted about that on Twitter
And
and IG. It was
they
crazy.
won 7 titles together in their run together.
They
They won
really,
they've won it
wow.
several times, yeah.
That's
I
insane.
actually didn't know that. I thought it would have been less.
I looked it up 'cause I had to write down some of these numbers for the guys I picked.
Yeah.
So they won it 7 times. So I mean, they had their fair share of victories. Edge won it more, but he did it with Jericho and other people.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah, that's why it seems like it was
He
yeah.
did.
He
Okay,
did
okay.
Jericho,
Yeah.
Orton, and like as well. Oh, Ray. I think he won it with Ray too. So
Yeah, he won it a total of 14 times with all together.
That's crazy.
Edge.
Wow.
Why?
Wow. That's a lot, bro. That is a lot. Oh, your number 4 was Edge and Christian. Love that one. It's a good pick. My number 3, on my number 3, I'm gonna go with the Hardy Boys here. Might feel a little early, but I'm gonna go with the Hardy Boys. You know, obviously it goes without saying everything that they do. I think everybody knows who the Hardy Boys. Like your mom knows. You know, like everybody. Somehow they're just not somehow. We know why they're a household name. Like they were setting shit ablaze. In the 90s and 2000s. I mean, they're still setting things ablaze. I mean, Matt just transferred over to NXT, I believe, was it? Or what was it?
No, he went to TNA, but he's not really in TNA.
Right, on and off, type of thing. He just doing things. He just wrestling.
No, I'm back to WWE. We'll talk about that later.
Okay, all right,
brown
cool.
paper
All
bag
right.
money real quick.
Yeah,
That's
right. That's 100. That's 100. So, but you know, he's still active. You know, Jeff's in AEW and whatnot, still doing his thing. I just watched, not just watched, but about a month or 2 ago, he just had a match with Swerve Strickland, and I actually thought it was a good match. I actually liked that match. So yeah, I mean, they're still doing their thing. Sometimes separate, sometimes together. And that's the same thing they did in WWF and WWE. So yeah, obviously you have a high flyer in Jeff, and you got the technical wrestler in Matt, and just watching those two guys work together, I mean, it's symmetry. It's beautiful to watch. So that's why I'm putting them in my number 3 slots. Inhuman, you're number 3, sir.
My number 3 is I think technically on my list, the only modern day tag team you could even. They're not tag team no more, but the Usos. They are my number 3.
I'm gonna be so controversial this episode.
I like that one though. I like that one.
I feel as though the tag team division or just tag team as a whole was completely like silent and dead. And the Usos not only brought an energy, but I can't even say they really revitalized it, because at the time, even when they came out, there really wasn't enough tag teams really around for them to really do their thing. But regardless of the competition, them coming and the energy they brought, it made me feel, again, back to the whole child thing shit again. Like watching, you brought up the Hardys. It made me feel like that energy once again. Now, did they put on the same matches as them? As you judge as you wish and everything.
Right, of course.
But I feel as though what they really brought back, it kind of just reminded people, hey, don't forget, you can still do a good tag team match, or you could still have tag teams, period. And they had a very amazing run, and I'm waiting for them to come the fuck back together, as long as they stop that super kick bullshit they did at WrestleMania. But
yeah, WrestleMania was killing me to see, and they weren't even a tag team. Obviously, they were just doing it to each other. But oh my lord, like
fortunate fluke, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. When their pop said, "Oh, I wish they had more time," I said, "No, I don't. I don't." Shout out to Rikishi. No, pops. I'm sorry, I don't wish they had more time. They should have cut it by like 15.
Right there. Right. All right,
But,
so number 3, Usos. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, perfect. Good answer, bro. I like that one. See, that's what I'm saying. We got different answers here. I like this. RJ, give me your number 3, sir.
All right, number 3. To go back, you said the Hardys were kind of low on your list. Spoiler: I don't have the Hardys on mine.
Ooh,
so yeah, at number 3,
I'm not with you. Actually,
yeah, me neither. Not really. No, but go ahead. I like that.
Quick.
To be honest with you, I expected all your top 5 to be like all AEW, maybe
Me
some
too.
because
Some
I know
TNA
you
in
have
there.
a specific taste. That's not an insult to say. I just had a feeling.
you know what? You're almost right, but this time I have the New Day down, and I'm technically kind of cheating, but not really, because if you want a perfect textbook definition of the Freebird rule, the New Day have it nailed down. Most tag team titles ever held in WWE. One of the most popular black factions. And to be honest, not gonna lie to you, I could be reading a little too far into this, but based off of who gave them a gimmick like this, taking a kind of not again, I'm trying. I don't want to.
Yeah,
I don't want
Yeah,
to.
yeah, I got you.
Kind of racist gimmick of,
Yeah.
hey, black guys, go out there and dance for us, and turning it into what they did is phenomenal. They've held the titles multiple times. They've held the red, the blue, the bronze and black ones. They've really were a shot in the arm for tag team wrestling in a company that didn't really care about tag team wrestling. They were heels at one point, and they were like, "Oh, we can hate these guys because they're corny." And then you gave them the opportunity to be a face, and they were just like, "Oh, well, these guys are kind of funny. I kind of like
I
these guys."
them. Mm-hmm.
They were a perfect opportunity to market to kids because they had the unicorn bootios nonsense.
Yeah, I'm about to say
But
that.
the adults got to see like, hey, I get to, these guys get to be goofy as grown men. I'm kind of goofy. You kind of just got to have fun with the Usos. Or not the Usos, damn it, the New Day.
It's
But
okay.
matches
Get it.
that they've had with the Usos is where I was going. Really showed that they are just a good tag team. And like I said, a perfect definition of the Freebird rule. They're really good in the ring, all three of them, even though Biggie hasn't been in the ring in over a year.
Yeah.
I miss you, Biggie. Please recover better. Even if you don't ever come back to wrestling, I'd love to hear him on commentary. But yeah, I just love those guys. I have zero negative things to say about them. Like I said, they took a bad,
Gimmick.
not a bad, but a potentially bad gimmick because we've seen it before and flopped it. And one of the biggest things, they sell out merch. It's resulted in big moments like Kofi Mania, Big E winning the world title.
And cereals, like, I got to.
It's just huge for them. It did really good for black wrestlers too.
Yeah, 100%.
Do you remember the first vignette for them?
Oh my God.
The church shit?
The church
Church,
shit.
yeah.
Because it was like,
Yo,
what is
come on,
this?
man.
This is so weird. But I mean,
it worked.
in hindsight, most tag team titles in the biggest wrestling company in the world ever held. I mean,
Really good.
they're breaking
True.
records.
Yeah.
Good for them.
Yep.
And I can see them winning the tag titles again. I think they're still on Raw, but if they decide to draft them next year SmackDown, I can see them winning them there too. Like,
And see, you just mentioned my point too. Like, you just mentioned all their accolades, and they're still doing it. Like, they're still on Raw, and they're still looking very good, and they're still relevant, and like they're part of a major storyline right now. Like, just working it. So yeah, you hit it right on its head. I actually love that pick too. New Day, again, kind of like an underrated pick. You know, you can kind of just glance over them and write them off. So, yeah, great pick. I love that one. Dirty Dan.
They're Also, they're just a team that can, like I said, you can plug them into the title scene at any point. And nobody's gonna go, "Why is the New Day going for the tag titles?" They're just that good. You'd be, "Oh yeah, New Day tag title." Because I'm still waiting for them to win. I thought they were gonna win them at Mania at 40, but makes sense.
Again, versatility with the versatility of them. Yeah, like you said, you can sell them. Yeah, 100%.
Take them off
everyone who I kind of wanted, who I currently want to get the tag titles on both Raw and SmackDown, that is literally open for them to do it. I kind of feel as those who are currently holding it, they're just momentary. Hey, hold this real quick.
Placeholders.
Story up.
Yeah. Placeholders for sure. All right, Dirty Dan, number 3. Go ahead.
Hardy Boys.
Perfect. At some point.
Hardy Boys, yeah.
Yeah, at some point. Yeah.
Tell us about the Hardy Boys.
I know, right?
Your favorite tag.
Everything that needed to be said. So
Please explain it. All right. So number. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Here's what I suggest for the Hardy Boys now, since Jay mentioned about now.
I love that. Go ahead.
Jeff, please take your ass home and just retire. No, his body can't take it, bro.
Yeah, you're right.
Like, he can't even sell the Swanton no more. Like, every time he does it, he's hurting somebody, bro. Like, they can't the brunt of that.
Or he's getting concussed by Sammy Guevara for the 8th week in a row.
Matt, I'm cool with, because he was more of a ground person anyway, so he can keep going. And talking about Matt, I think he's going to WWE. He keeps sharing.
Yeah, he does.
He keeps sharing those QR codes for Bray's brother. I think he's going to be part of that faction. I think he's coming back to WWE.
I mean, he tag teamed with Bray. Like,
yeah, I know. And
so,
remember, he just came back to when he did the show very quick in TNA. He came back as the Woken one. I'm telling you, he's gonna come back to WWE. But as far as the Hardys, everything it has to explain for himself. Another one,
right,
part of the ladder match.
Yep,
the greatest matches ever in WWE.
Yep. Hardy Boys for Dirty Dan's number 3. Before we get into number 2, I do want to shout out Glitch Energy. If you're lacking any type of energy, please make sure you drink Glitch. If you want to go buy some Glitch, go to GLYTCH energy.com, glitchenergy.com. And when you check out, use code SHOOT2WIN. You get 15% off. always nice to get, a nice little discount. So on to our top two. So for my number two, I'm gonna go a little unorthodox here. I'm gonna have fun with it. Again, this is my personal list, so I'm gonna say what I want. This one didn't last too long, but I loved it as a kid. And I want to say shout out to Kane and Undertaker.
I knew it.
Yep. One of my favorite duos ever. I don't give a damn. Whenever you saw the flame and the darkness together, I mean, it was wonderful. It was wonderfully done at times. It was kind of short-lived. Obviously, there's only so much you can do with two big-ass dudes who really don't talk too much. I mean, Undertaker did some good talking points, and Kane tried to, but together it just didn't work out too well. They had their little run, but again, just the iconicness of that. It was just like, bro, like we always kind of saw them meet up, in the 90s and 2000s. It was always like that storyline. They're brothers, they might not. Da, 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 da. It was always like the rumbling and always like rumors. And this is before the internet was popping. So I know for people on the internet who's looking at it now, like, how wouldn't you know? It's like, bro, in the 90s and 2000, like, we're watching two big dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, facts. Like, we're watching two big dudes who both look absolutely scary. They both look dead, and we're like, are they real brothers? Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy are, so this makes sense. Like, this is like we're trying to piece this together, and it was so wonderfully done. And again, this I remember this kind of happened like later in their careers too, like mid in their careers. They were a little older at this time, so again, this angle has been worked for like decades at this point, like 10 years in the making, and it finally happened. Like a couple years in the making, we finally get it together. So just the iconic moment always stuck out to me, so I'm gonna put them high on my list, even though it was short-lived. Inhuman, give me your number two, sir.
Well, I hate you for this because my number two is the Brothers of Destruction.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's also like, again, it goes back to just as they the moveset pretty much was the same. There really wasn't much difference except for they both had this whole mystery behind them and stuff, or at least their characters did. And at the time, like you said, this wasn't no internet stuff. We really hear like, oh wait, his face really did burn. And if you go back and watch the videos, that boy just got some charcoal and was like,
Yeah.
ain't nothing wrong with him. But then I love how Twitter's going back to a lot of the old stuff, just talking about how cool Kane's exit from the ring was. The whole little backflip bullshit, like that. You know how many times I did off my bed, just cracked my head like that.
Yep. Yep.
Like, oh man, so, yeah. Watching them, it was just always so cool, as well as that having cousins and everything. Just be choke slamming each other for no fucking reason.
And see, at this time too, I'm thinking I could be wrong, but I feel like the Undertaker was also doing like the motorcycle thing and everything at this time, the bad boy stuff. I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like it was around that time, like when he was kind of transitioning, or maybe they did it around that time. I could be wrong. It was so long ago in my head, but I felt like, just again, like you said, the aura behind those two was just enough. Just the aura alone, and like you said, when we were younger, the thought process of like, was this guy burned? Are they related? Did they ever cross paths? Are they both like dead inside? Like, it was like the craziest ideas that we ever had, but our imagination was running free, and that's why it sticks with us, and they're iconic for
And
what they
also
are.
just Kane's mask, man. That shit was like, oh, that mask was just cool as hell.
It was so
Like,
cool, and so
yeah,
scary. Like you said, like it's almost
yeah,
like the Jason mask or the Michael Myers mask. Like these different things. Like it's iconic on that level. Like the red and black worked for him, and again his stature, the way he talked. It just was so great, bro. Yeah. That
that was
I'm
not
I'm
his
glad
hair
you're number
either.
two. No, it wasn't. No, no. Unfortunately. All right, RJ, your number two pick, sir.
Number two, I actually almost spoiled it last time. I got the Usos actually. With the longest tag team title reign in WWE, I don't necessarily believe that to make it like or to have a true legacy in wrestling, you need to be in WWE. But I think what the Usos have been able to do was, again, with the New Day, take a wrestling style that WWE did not care about and kind of make people care about it. And I think old face paint Usos was really good for them. They got a chance to be the crowd favorites. Everybody loved them. They got to be, again, the goofy dudes that they actually are in real life. And then we got to see them move over and transition into the Bloodline storyline, and got to see a more serious, darker, and still kind of goofy version of those two. And rewatching like some of the Bloodline stuff recently, because I wanted to kind of like refresh myself on the Uso side of that
Yeah.
story. you had Jay and Jimmy when they were separate, but when they did come back together and get thrown into the bloodline, it almost just like it was just a recipe for not disaster, but like perfection.
I'll
Because
say yeah,
you
perfection.
had
Yeah.
a very, very solid tag team. They're brothers. They're really good. Their movesets are the same, but they blend into each other very well. They can transition to things very well. And you pair them with the most dominant champion that's also their cousin, and it worked out so well. Like it's one of those things where when you look at like long title reigns, especially like Roman's, you start to question like not necessarily validity, but like legitimacy of like were they really that good to hold them this long? The Usos really were. I mean, at the time they took the Raw tag titles off of RK Bro, which was Matt Riddle and Randy Orton. It's like
Yep.
they have a name, yeah, but like I mean, respectfully, they're just two singles guys that
There you
they're not
go.
doing anything. They're coming together. So when you give them all that, and then okay, then you look at their history in general of being a great tag team. They have the longest tag team, and I personally, they have one of my favorite WrestleMania main events ever back in '39 with Sammy and KO. That match I rewatched again, and I got the same goosebumps I got the first time. And 39 was the first wrestling show I had watched in almost 10 years. That was like the very first one I watched, and I still love
That one
match.
stuck out
I
to
go
you.
back and rewatch it. It's phenomenal. And the Usos, they like I said, they may not have gone to other companies. They didn't do the indie run stuff. They didn't do all that. But when the big guy kind of believes in you, you don't
You just got
necessarily
there. You
need it.
go.
So like they didn't need to do the indie thing because of that. But I mean, hey, maybe we see a Uso in an AEW ring one day. I don't know,
You
but
never
I mean,
know.
I don't expect that. But I mean, I could see them going to another company and also winning their tag titles there. They're
Right.
just a phenomenal team. I love the Usos. I genuinely do.
I love that. Number 2 pick Usos, and for Inhuman, that was your like number 4, right? Number 3? Yeah,
3, I
around there.
believe.
Yeah, number 3. So good. We got the Usos twice on here. So Dirty Dan, you're number 2. Talk to me.
The Dudley Boys. They're
Love
the
that.
most decorated tag team in the history of wrestling, man.
Yep.
They have won titles in like every damn place they've been in.
Yep. Well, I'm glad you mentioned them because they're my number 1.
They were number 1.
So I might as well get to my number 1.
All right, that's
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'm going off as a kid what I'm thinking about. I mean, Dan knows as a young bull, as we would call it over here in Harrisburg, Philly, if you're not familiar. You know, as a young bull, I would sit there and watch. And just screaming, get the tables. Again, I'm now 32 and I was watching WrestleMania like, get the table, like, it's the Dudley Boys come out, like, what is going, like,
hey, man,
I'm
when they
still,
said what's up, that was it. I was
like, I'm still looking for those moments. I'm still looking for, like, again, like that same, like almost what RJ just said about watching old shows or old wrestling matches and getting that same feeling. You know, it was the same exact thing. I was like, I feel like I almost missed that for 15 years, like watching them come out and go through that process. Like, so I gotta put them number 1 because, you know, just to get that feeling again. I was like, oh yeah, these guys are it in my head for some reason. Just the hardcoreness of them, not for some reason. We know why. The hardcoreness of them, and the goofiness. They're like this everything that you want. They're serious. They're goofy. They're crazy. They're outlandish. They're everything. They're lovable. So shout out to them. Dudley Boys, my number 1. Go ahead, Inhuman, what's your number 1?
My number 1 is like you said, the childhood stuff again. This is the pinnacle of my excitement when I was a child watching wrestling is the Hardys. They will be my number 1. I don't know if they will ever not be my number 1. I do feel as though one day the Usos might move up and actually take the number 2 spot, but I
So they
do
still
feel as
wrestling.
though, yeah. So like, but I feel like the Hardys will ever be there mainly because it's just a thing. Uh, their in-ring ability, but also their image as well. We're talking about a time in which new metal was the new thing. You know, we have Korn, you got Linkin Park and everything. Now you got these guys out there with the fishnet shit on and everything, hair dyed.
I say
and
hair dye. Yep.
the tight shirts and shit. And
Nails
then
painted.
yeah, nails painted and everything, screaming like all that shit stuff. And then you got one brother who's like, yeah, I'm gonna just twist the fate his ass right here. I'm a swan bomb over there. I'm like, what the hell? They gonna bring a lat, jump off like crazy
You
shit.
know what to expect.
Yeah, and it's just like as a kid, they were the ones who made like my sister, she was not safe anywhere. I'm like jumping off her headboard and like Swanson Bond. She reading the
Yeah.
Nancy Drew book, like what the fuck?
Fuck is this? Yeah, yeah.
It was just never safe. And like I said, with my older siblings and stuff like that, and also my cousins, like it was just that's all it was. Like, don't let me grab your head.
Yeah,
Twist the
yeah.
finger, and then now you're fucked.
That's a
But
fact.
yeah,
That's a
no,
fact.
they are my number one. I think they will, as of right now, they'll forever be my number one. Until further notice. But yeah, shout out to the Hardys, man. Thank you for the memories, and
Perfect.
forever.
I love that. The Hardys and Dudleys so far have been our number one choices. Let's hear RJ.
I
You gonna say AJ Styles
am
and somebody else from TNA?
nah, you're very close. So you
club.
got the branding
Oh, shit.
correctly. So
Oh,
the
got
other
the brand.
day, I
But
tweeted out
continue.
this dog tag, right, with the little TNA logo, right? And I said, "This is a spoiler. Y'all just don't know it yet." Because
Oh,
my
that's what
number
that
one
was.
choice, my number one choice, and I'll be shocked if anybody knows who it is. The Motor City Machine
I
Guns
knew it.
from
Oh my god.
TNA.
I knew it.
Who Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley are two of the most
Oh my god.
fun people to watch wrestle. They are phenomenal stars and they are a phenomenal tag team. They have one of my best, or not my best, one of my favorite series of matches, which was the best of 5 series that they had with Beer Money for the TNA tag titles. And that series of matches, I rewatched it for this, and I suggest everybody go watch it. It's on the TNA YouTube channel. You can watch the entire best of 5. They don't have commercials, nothing. It's phenomenal. It's an hour. Doesn't feel like an hour. It first match was a ladder match, and whoever won first match got to choose the stipulation for the next match. If you win that one, you choose stipulation for the next match. So it went from a ladder match to a street fight to a cage match, and I wouldn't even spoil the last two. They are both phenomenal. They are a phenomenal tag team in general, but the fact that they were also very, I don't want to say very loyal because they did have some injury spots and they did go away for a little bit, but they are so good for TNA that Chris Sabin is one of the most recognizable X Division champions. I saw a stat recently that he has held every variant of the X Division title. I think there's been like 6 of them. So he's been there from the very beginning. Alex Shelley actually found a lot of success recently at the end of Impact's life going into TNA. So technically he was the last Impact World Champion and the first TNA World Champion going into the rebrand, which is really nice to see. When I came back to TNA, because I heard they were rebranding, I was like, oh, I'm so excited for them. I'm glad they're still doing so good. They have to be one of the most recognizable tag teams from TNA. And it is shocking to me that they have only held the TNA tag team titles one time for 180 days. And
That's
I
crazy.
could not believe that stat to save my life because they're still in TNA and they're still doing, a lot of singles separate stuff.
Right.
And they recently had a report that they are probably on their way to AEW. And when I tell you,
Ooh.
I fangirled for
Yeah,
3
you're
straight
so
hours.
hyped.
From what I heard, they're closing deals, not like,
Nice.
oh, they might go. It's no, like they're signing their contract. So I've been watching with my eyes glued to AEW every time the Young Bucks are on, because I assume they're gonna sick them on the Young Bucks because
Right.
that's a great match. They had a great match. A great set of matches back in TNA, but that was like so long ago. This new EVP setup, the Motor City Machine Guns, I love these guys. And they had child me in a chokehold. Whenever they came out, I'm watching it. I don't care. I'm watching them. I'm not taking my eyes off the screen. And going back to rewatch them, I still can't believe one time TNA, man, you guys have a diamond in your head. That is your Usos right there. That's your New Day. You put those tag titles on them. It's like they had single success, I guess, but it's like, bro,
Just let them
when
rock.
you watch them tag,
Yeah, you gotta let them go.
you watch them tag. It was phenomenal. They are another example of just 2 guys, just one being when they're
In
in that
sync.
ring. The tag team moves they had, the one bro holds his head up and he just sprints at him and kicks him in the face. I love it.
It's synergy.
It's synergy. It's the perfect amount too. And you know what? I don't care if that makes me a hipster. They were phenomenal. I loved them. I loved everything about them.
Perfect. I love that. You know me. I just got back to wrestling, so because of how hype you are, I'm gonna sit here and go smoke, and I'm gonna go watch that match to fall asleep because you just hyped it up so much. So I'll come back to a different podcast episode and tell you how I felt about it. But I love your list because I mean, honestly, man, you giving me some game. Again, I am kind of new to like the newer scene, so you just gave me some game on your list. So it's definitely unorthodox. I love it. Dirty Dan, give me your number one.
My number one. There was a while there, right, that I stopped watching wrestling for a while.
Yep.
So the reason I started watching wrestling again. Now, when I say this story, it's not the team I'm picking. Just to let you know.
Yeah, go ahead. I got you. You're leading
Bray
up.
Wyatt was the reason I started watching wrestling again. My number one tag team's the Usos.
Oh shit.
They're the ones that actually made me care about the tag team division again.
That's big fair.
But this is something that connects me with them, man. Like you know me, Jay.
Yeah.
I like street shit sometimes.
Yeah.
The whole Uso penitentiary, the little the freestyles they had with fucking New Day, which were hilarious because they brought up shit they weren't supposed to really be bringing up.
Yeah.
And a lot of their matches, I think they're very. I'm not gonna say they're underrated to us, but I think they're very underrated to the world of wrestling. I don't think they get enough credit sometimes. Like they held the titles for 622 days. 622 days, bro. They're the reasons why I like the tag team division again.
We went hype over Gunther and he was at what? How many days?
666.
I was gonna say 600 as well. 600 as well. Oh yeah, 660. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so 600 as well. So yeah, that's a great point.
Honorable mentions or no?
Sure, bro. Of course. I mean, I don't have any, but let me hear. Let me hear a couple.
No?
Any honorable mentions you guys want to mention as your favorites?
Rey Mysterio and Batista.
Oh,
you know what? I'll give you one. They didn't last long, but they were great. The 2-man power trip.
I was
just
about
good.
to say, I was shocked that wasn't on your list.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Exactly
They didn't last long enough. And
Yeah,
I am a
fair.
fan, but I'm not that much of a homer that I'm going to put them in my top 5.
Okay, I was going to go Homer and I was going to do Eddie and Chavo, but I'm not a big Chavo guy. So, that's the thing.
You're not cheating, you're not trying.
But see, the thing. I always feel like Chavo had some decent promos. He was always kind of funny with it, but like his in-game like wrestling, I was just like, he just never did it for me. So I couldn't put him in there. But yeah. But hey, that's not the diss Chavo. Shout out to him, man. He a loyal motherfucker, man. I love him. So, but that's kind of why I wanted to mention him because obviously I love to mention Eddie Guerrero and Chavo, but it's hard to mention them in top 5 because obviously it was more for fun. But yeah, I actually like I like the honorable mentions that you guys mentioned. Any more we want to throw out there before we go?
Finley and Hornswoggle.
Go ahead, RJ. Give me your last one.
The Briscoe brothers. Mark.
I looked at them. Yeah, I looked at them.
RPJ.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one.
Tragic. It's so young. He still had so much more to do, and it is unfortunate. But yeah, and another one with the FTR. They were phenomenal. That set of matches was really good. That dog collar match. Shit was. It still makes me like cringe thinking about it. Like, they had no right throwing each other around like that. But yeah, no, the Briscoes. I think that's what.
Briscoe was good.
That's like number 6. The Briscoes right there.
I like that. So if we had number 6, it'd be. Whoa, what a great episode. Thank you guys, or thank you everybody for tuning in. If you're watching on Spotify, or excuse me, if you're watching on YouTube, please go ahead and like, subscribe, all of that. Go ahead and comment underneath and let us know your top 5. Let us know who you feel like had the best top 5. Let's talk about the list possibly. Give us your top 5. Let's have some debates. I want to hear about, again, your favorites. Who would you take out? Who would you put in? Who are some of your personal favorites? Who did you grow up on? Those type of conversations. Let's have them in the comments. If you're listening on Spotify or anywhere, please give us 5 stars, like all of that. Go ahead, Inhuman. I'll let you say goodbye because I didn't let you guys do intros, so I'll let you say goodbye. Go ahead.
Yeah, let us know why Kelly and Eve are your favorite tag team. Just let us know, man. But no, man. Thank y'all for stopping by, listening, watching. If you are watching the video version of this, yeah. Rate it 5 stars after you done watched or listened, and give us a thumbs up if that's where it is. It helps us move up the algorithm. Blase. If you wish to find me on anywhere on the internet, on every very social media network, is at Inhuman Line. That's INHUMANLINE.
Perfect. RJ, go ahead and say your goodbyes.
All right, everybody. It's been your boy Main Event RJ. You can find me anywhere, most socials at RJXP with probably 2 underscores on it. And yeah, tell me down below why the Motor City Machine Guns were just number 1. There was no other tag team that phenomenal. I'm just saying they were that good.
All right, Dirty Dan.
And it's your boy, the final hater. I would say leave comments, but I don't care what you got to say. So
I love
either
it.
way, thank you for the support, but I don't give a damn what you got to say.
What?
Lord doesn't care about the algorithm.
Fuck
Come
your
on.
algorithm, he said.